The LEGO games have a long and proud history of taking existing media and injecting charming goofiness, meta humor, enjoyable combat, and a strong sense of creativity. So, when I first heard that Horizon Zero Dawn, the game that took over my 2017 with its combat, visuals, and thrill of exploration, was getting the LEGO game treatment with LEGO Horizon Adventures, my first thought was, oh, cool. Followed immediately by, why though? LEGO Horizon Adventures is a soft retelling of Horizon Zero Dawn. It's several thousand years in the future, and Earth has been ravaged by an environmental collapse that has given rise to animal-like machines built before everything went to hell. You play as Aloy, and while trying to uncover the mystery of her birth, you must stop a rogue AI called Nemesis and its army of followers from wiping out all life on the planet. It's a pretty harrowing story at times, as Aloy faces not only the threat of annihilation, but also trying to figure out her place in not only the world that rejected her, but the modern world she has only ever experienced through the remains left behind. All the while being forced into the role of a savior because no one else will be. The LEGO Horizon Adventures version, though, is markedly less doom and gloom. The main villain's dynamic is goofier, Helis often calling up Aloy to villain monologue, while the buried Shadow gives off the air of a dude just super done with his employees. Aloy herself is also very different. Still voiced by Ashley Birch, this version of Aloy is closer to Tiny Tina than the blunter, no-nonsense Aloy that ground the story of Horizon.
How come these bushes never grow healing chocolates?
You can play solo or with a friend in co-op or online multiplayer, taking on the machines and cultists that get in your way, earning gold bricks for your troubles, exploring the world and each of the self-contained levels within. A world which, you might notice, for the first time in a LEGO game, is entirely made of LEGO. Everything from the trees to the rundown buildings to the water itself is LEGO bricks. There's even a special gadget you can unlock in fights called a brick separator, a real thing that comes with LEGO builds that in LEGO Horizon Adventures acts as a giant minifig destroying hammer. It's so friggin' pretty. Unfortunately, it's also pretty friggin' repetitive. There are a handful of core areas you'll unlock as you progress through the story, and each one goes about the same way. Aloy and her friends talk about what they need to build that's been conveniently scattered into several collectible pieces. They run around samey-looking areas, smashing the same handful of barrels, run into some machines or cultists, fight them, find the item, go back to base, repeat the cycle. That's not to say there aren't enjoyable parts within the repetition though. Combat is really fun, if very simple. Each character only has one main attack. Aloy has her bow, Val has his spear, Erend has his hammer, and Teresa has, well, she's very passionate about demolitions. Aside from those, you'll also pick up different bonus weapons and gadgets as you progress the story. You can only have one of these bonus weapons equipped at a time though, and you can't equip whichever one you want. Levels usually have 2 or 3 you can pick up while you make your way through. They run the gamut of useful to downright silly, with my favourites being the gravity bombs that suck enemies in and then explode, the rocket boots that launch you into the sky with a double jump and also shoot fire, and easily the best weapon in the whole game, the man, the myth, the legend, Hot Dog Man. He throws explosive hot dogs, and I've dedicated my entire playthrough to worshipping him. You can highlight enemy weaknesses with your focus. Whether you'll actually hit them is a very different story, as different machine types will shield themselves, launch projectiles, or bury their metal heads in the sand while you try. There are some great moments of pure chaos that just naturally form between you and your buddy, where fights turn into explosive throwing, arrow slinging, power-up abusing fun. But those moments feel so few and far between. So much of Horizon Adventures is leading you by the hand to a really fun encounter, and then it being over way too soon, even with the difficulty bumped up. Thankfully, there is the Apex hunts, small, optional, self-contained fights against tougher versions of a specific machine that really scratch the combat itch the main campaign left me with. Like most of the extra features of LEGO Horizon Adventures, these unlock by following the story. Costumes, pre-built sets from LEGO collections past, and decorations for your camp are also drip-fed to you as you progress. The camp area acts as your main hub and can be decorated using the gold bricks you collect through the main missions. You can get really silly with the decorations. Big old popcorn roofs, a disco stage, And this strongman competition we spent 5 unbroken minutes on trying to reach its top score. It's 100, by the way. I personally dedicated my entire camp to statues of Hot Dog Man so all may know his glory. It got me thinking about LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, arguably one of the biggest game changers in the LEGO series. It was open world, collectibles abound, you were visiting new planets and environments regularly with enough freedom to follow the story if you wanted, but also just mess around if you felt like it. Aside from making the characters behave like LEGO do, no longer smooth motions but bending at stiff angles, there's just not that same level of charm or interactivity that I'd come to expect here. At the end of the day, I think some younger gamers might get a kick out of LEGO Horizon Adventures, at least for a while. But outside of a couple of silly moments and pockets of fun, the bulk of it feels lacking in anything original and actually made me question what I enjoyed about the two halves in the first place rather than bringing them together. I just keep coming back to why was this what was chosen to adapt? Because it feels like neither can truly shine through. It lacks the sense of wonder that makes LEGO games such a thrill to explore, while also dimming Horizon's grandness and scale to fit into a series of samey, repetitive levels. It's one thing to take a movie like Star Wars or a TV show like Ninjago and Lego it up, but taking an already established game with its own story and gameplay loop that works for its specific setting, that was always going to be an uphill battle. And I don't think it's a battle that was won here. Pass.